Welcome to Wingate News. I'm Elchanan Popko, and I just want to share with you a bit of the picture of the Middle East the day after the war, if we can call it the day after. Not the day after the war with Gaza, the day after the war with Iran. We had a period of 14 days of direct conflict with Iran, many casualties, unfortunately, and a huge amount of loss, missiles, etc. Let's try and break it down. First of all, what is the meaning of this direct conflict between Israel and Iran? What it means is there's no more proxy wars. Up until this day, Iran had strategically set itself to be at war with Israel without having any consequences to itself. Iran set up proxy armies in Yemen, where you have the Houthi terrorist group, in Gaza, where you have Hamas, in the West Bank, where you have many also of Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad, in Lebanon, where they had the Hezbollah armed group become the size of a military and have more than 100,000 rockets aimed at Israel. You had them in Syria, basically operating Syria as a proxy of theirs. And you also have them with terror cells all over the world. So Iran figured out how to become this kind of octopus that sends its tentacles all over the world, especially around Israel, and does not actually enter war itself. These tentacles of the Iranian octopus proxies really had a chokehold on Israel. And had they operated all at the same time, especially had Iran been successful at toppling the Jordanian king, the king of Jordan, King Abdullah, it would be a death blow to Israel. Had Iran activated all of its proxies in one time, the Houthis in Yemen, Gaza, the West Bank, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and fired ballistic missiles from Iran at Israel, that could have been, I hate to say this, the absolute end of Israel. It could have been. What happened on October 7th was horrific and beyond words. But imagine that times 100. That's what could have happened. However, the leader of Hamas, due to his deep religious extremism, failed the plan in the sense that he activated his side of the game, his piece in the chess game that Iran was playing, actually, I'll say so brilliantly, and he activated his piece, and he put everything he had to it, sent 6,000 suicide terrorists over the fence into Israel. No army can, frankly, completely stop that. They came with bulldozers, with motorcycles, 6,000 people trampled over the border between Gaza and Israel, trained terrorists, and they carried out the vicious, brutal attack of October 7th. Israel saw that and woke up. It understood it can no longer sit in the shadow of an Iranian proxy threat. And besides for the absolute destruction of Hamas in Gaza, what Israel then did was it started a slow attrition war with Hezbollah in Lebanon. Slowly but surely, the Hezbollah infrastructure began crumbling, and slowly but surely, they became politically weak inside Lebanon until finally Israel gave them a surprise attack with the famous pager attack that took out all of their brass within literally seconds. It then eliminated the heads of Hezbollah, culminating with the elimination of Hassan Nasrallah, the decades-long Hezbollah leader. And that was an extraordinary success in the sense that it created a method that eliminated the leadership of Hezbollah and therefore put it out of commission. It's a new way of thinking. It's honestly going to be studied in war academies. So what did Israel do in Lebanon? What they did is they eliminated the leadership, and that way they spared the need to fight with the day-to-day fighters, which are tens of thousands of people. And so once Hezbollah leadership was eliminated, everyone else didn't really know what to do, and Israel decided to replicate that. We'll see soon how. Once Hezbollah was out of commission, then the people in Syria realized that they have a chance now at overthrowing Bashar Assad. Why? Because Hezbollah is not just a terrorist organization that is violent and deadly in its war against Israel. It also helped Bashar al-Assad stay in power and oppress the Syrian people. So the rebels, the Syrian rebels led by who's now the prime minister of Syria, al-Julani, he began to overthrow Bashar Assad, and within weeks, the Assad regime was toppled. After almost 15 years of civil war, it was over, and then the regime was overthrown, and so Iran loses another piece in its chess game. It doesn't have Gaza, it doesn't have the West Bank, it doesn't have Lebanon, and now it doesn't have Syria. All that Iran has left is the Houthis in Yemen and Iran, and this is where Israel prepares for the next stage. Remember, Israel saw in Lebanon how effective it is to knock out the entire leadership of a terrorist organization. And so they go on and they say, okay, we're going to do this again. Where are we going to do it? We're going to do it again in Iran. And you have this sudden attack in Iran where overnight the entire senior leadership of Iran's military and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard are assassinated. The scientists, the top nuclear scientists in Iran, are also assassinated. And interestingly, you have drones placed deep inside Iran, activated and destroying again many strategic points of Iran and assassinating their senior leadership. Iran freaks out. They start sending ballistic missiles at Israeli civilians, targeting Israel's big civilian centers. We honestly, I'm going to say this with a great deal of honesty, we don't know the full extent of how much damage those ballistic missiles have done in Israel simply because the Israeli censor decided not to publish a lot of those places, not to let Iran know where the missiles did hit, where they didn't hit, but it really did cause a great deal of damage. 24 civilians killed in these ballistic missile attacks, and really a lot of damage sustained. However, meanwhile in Iran, their nuclear facilities have been actually really been hurt a lot, not completely destroyed, but hurt a lot. And what happened next is, because the whole world was marveling at this great success Israel had in Syria, Lebanon, and Iran, the Americans decided it's time now to get in on the success. And finally, President Trump agrees to send B-2 bombers, who are the only bombers that are able to carry the MOP, the massive ordnance penetration bombs that weigh 30,000 pounds, from their base, Diego Garcia in Missouri, all the way to Fordo, Iran's nuclear reactor. Now, why do you need to send a B-2 bomber? Why can't Israel, with all of its F-35s, do that? Because, very simple reason. Iran built their nuclear reactor in Fordo, which is considered their most protected site, half a mile into the ground under a mountain. So imagine a mountain, they dug in a tunnel from the side, and then they dug down a half a mile. It's almost impossible to hit that. Nothing that any army in the world has can take that down, except for the MOP, the massive ordnance penetration, 30,000 pound bomb, that struck Iran, and that struck Fordo with the help of the B-2 bombers sent by President Trump. And shortly thereafter, there was this agreement to ceasefire that the president orchestrated between Israel and Iran. So, what's going on now? So, the Houthis in Yemen are still a piece that Iran has. They actually just a few minutes ago sent a missile at Israel, but they are much weaker. They're the last piece in the puzzle that Israel needs to eliminate immediately in order to have safe skies, and I'm certain they will, but Israel's in a much better strategic place. No threat from Gaza. Obviously, there's still a small terrorist group there. There's still a small contingency of Hamas, which needs to be taken out, but no October 7th size threat from Gaza, no October 7th size threat from the West Bank, no Hezbollah that is that big in Lebanon, a Syria that may actually sign a peace agreement. Jordan is now stabilized, and Iran knows that next time it strikes at Israel, it's not going to be a proxy war. The war is going to come directly back. What started on October 7th in the kibbutz, neighboring Gaza, kibbutz Be'eri and other kibbutzes, ended up with direct consequences inside Tehran, inside Natanz, inside the Fordo nuclear reactors, and the conflict became much more direct. Let's hope things calm down, but definitely the United States, the allies, the moderate Sunni states, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, are all in a much better place, with the Houthi situation to be determined. This is Elchanan Pupko. Thank you so much for listening.